we begin chapter 31. Chapter 31, in one word, is simcha, is joy. We're going to get there, but for now, of course, a continuation of the couple past chapters where we're speaking about the Beinoni who has what's called a timtum halev, a dulling of the heart. The heart doesn't have the spontaneity, the love and awe of God in, I guess, in an ideal manner. And in order to deal with the negative side, with the evil impulse, the Beinoni has gone through some measures to truly own the negativity in order to humble it and not allow it to control us. So the Alter Rebbe says that dwelling upon everything that we just learned in the last couple of chapters, especially, he speaks about dwelling on it for a long time, like an hour or two. I'm be quite frank and honest. I don't think I could do that, and I don't suggest anybody do that. Not in our generation, and we're not a Beinoni anyways. But even to the Beinoni, he says, because of a lengthy dwelling upon all of what we learned in the last couple of chapters, this can bring a person to a profound depression. Now, depression, it's not a clinical depression. It's a self-inflicted one, in a sense, right? Now, that says, don't be perturbed. In Hebrew, okay, I said the word depression. I don't think that's the right term. It's atzvus. Atzvus, we could translate it as depression, sadness, a downer, right? So why should you be perturbed? Because it's coming from klipas noiga. Real, true sadness in this instance, right, is coming from klipas noiga, and from the klipas noiga, it's coming from the good element in it. Why? Because you're perturbed about your spiritual standing, and because you are, saddened by it. That's the good part of klipas noiga. That being said, the Alter Rebbe says, it's not holiness. Shouldn't make a mistake. Holiness is only with gladness and fortitude. Strength and gladness are in the place of holiness. In other words, we're learning now Tanya. If you prayed earlier, any other mitzvah that you're going to do is an act of holiness. It needs to be done with gladness of heart, with strength. We should not be feeling down then about our spiritual failings. Again, it must be conducted, must be done with joy. Only. After all, it's a holy act. Yet, here we're talking about not at such a time where the spiritual failings is getting you down, can easily get you down. Why? Well, because if you think about the humility that you're less than any other person, and you rage, and all the things that we spoke about previously, there's a negative side to it. So why does it have to be done this way? So Alter Rebbe says, you can only fight fire with fire. You can only deal with the negative with the force of negativity. Interesting. As the phrase goes, the forest is felled by the wood that's taken from the forest to make the axe. So you want to fell, you want to bring down something, you need to bring it down from its type. You want to bring down the negativity of the animal soul, so you need to bring it down with a force of negativity. The truth, the Alter Rebbe says, that this negativity is not really atzvos, not really sadness, a downer. It's bitterness. What's the difference? Bitterness is full of life. Sadness is the lack of life. And bitterness, when it's done appropriately towards oneself, not to anybody else, God forbid, can be bitter towards somebody. Never. You could be upset with someone's actions and their lack of morality, but not bitter towards them. But to yourself, you can be bitter. That can come from a holy place. That can come from a holy place. Just like you have kindness, that's a proper attribute. You have severity, gvura, which gvura means strength of, it can be this sense of bitterness. Now, bitterness is full of life as opposed to sadness. So first we spoke about sadness, now we're speaking about bitterness. So what's going on over here? So the Rebbe explains in the notes, our Rebbe, that when you first, kind of comes to you, and you think about the things of the previous chapters, right? Again, lower than any other, lowly in spirit before any other human being, raging against your negativity, the animal soul, the evil impulse, thinking about that and dealing with that, and then coming to being aware of your spiritual status, so to speak, can be a bit of a downer, but that's the atzvus, the sadness. But as the Rebbe says, that's only momentary. That's a momentary thing. It should not be a continuous thing, feeling down about your situation. That's going to happen, and that's okay, because that's the good in klipas noiga. However, from there, it's got to go to a real good place where there's change, because in feeling not so great about yourself, it's only an opportunity that you can now do something about yourself. Not feeling great about yourself is just a possibility of actual change. You can't change when you don't have vitality. You can't become better if you're lackluster and not full of life. Sadness is not full of life. It's like earth. It's heavy and weighs you down. Bitterness, though, is the opposite. It's an abundance of life. Again, bitterness to yourself that you want to change, that you need to change. You're seeking change. And what you're doing is then that bitterness will sweeten the severities. Why? Because in that bitterness is the change. Because when you feel, oh, why did I say that? How could I do that? That's bitter. It's not sad. That's full of life. In that changes direction of the individual. And what you're doing is then bearing the source of that negativity on the negativity. And actually what you're doing then is sweetening it. That's the source of severity, gvurais, and therefore it tempers and sweetens the judgments on high. And that's where our sages say you should always incite the good inclination to anger over the evil inclination. When should you do this? When anyways, maybe you're a little down, kind of down on some things in your life that seem to be without a cause. So it's an opportunity then, when you're kind of down, is to redirect it and to own your stuff, and not to be sad about it, because again, sad is the lack of life, and that's only like the in-between stage that you can come to know a place of where you make real change, and that's where the bitterness is. When you feel the full weight of something that you need to change, need to own, then you can really turn on a dime, literally. I know I've experienced that. I'm sure you've also experienced that. Right? When you feel lousy about yourself, you ain't changing anything. I remember from that, we learned previously, actually in chapter 27, that's can be from the Yetzer Hara. Right? Unless it's here, that's when it's coming just out of the blue, feeling lousy about yourself. Here it's not out of the blue. Here it's because you were meditating, thinking about chapters 29 and 30 and implementing that in your life, and that brought you down. Okay? That, that's natural. That's for sure. It's a downer. That downer, though, is the good of Klippa, of Klippas Noiga, of the admixture of good and evil. But it's only a very temporary space, a temporary time that you should feel that, because then it's got to switch to bitterness, from sadness to bitterness. And where's it? What comes after? Joy, great joy. Tomorrow's class will be with great joy. You know why? Because we're all going to be here. I mean, the truth is, today's class is also with great joy. You know why? Because we're learning Torah and it can only be done with joy. The topic was sadness and bitterness. We're learning about it. We're trying to understand it. We shouldn't be implementing it right now. Don't be sad, anybody. Don't be bitter. You're teaching the teachings and you're applying it right away. Don't apply it right away. First, learn it, understand it, appreciate it. Afterwards, think about it, how it applies to you, what you need to do with it. Make it personal, make it practical, absolutely, but not when you're learning it, because when you do that, you really don't learn it appropriately. You're not, because you can't learn and apply it at the same moment. Learn it, get the idea, make sure there's clarity to the concept. Then, afterwards, think about it in a personal way, apply it, make it practical, absolutely. But not right now. Full of joy we are, because we're doing a mitzvah. We're learning Torah. I know now that Lisa, I feel bad for the COVID and the isolation. It's definitely a challenge, but I do believe at the same time we can rise to the challenge. That's why we're given the challenge. John, that although depression or sadness over spiritual things comes from the Klippas Noiga, is a good part of Klippas Noiga. And if I handle it correctly, it will lead to a positive outcome, changing atzvus to verirus with the energies of the heart. Very good, excellent. Pachi, I know now that it's good Klippa, bitterness over things I've said or done. That bitterness is healthy and ultimately brings joy. Very good. Irma, I know now that holiness is always with gladness. We should not be feeling down with our spiritual failures. We must instead be bitter about ourselves, because of bitterness is full of life, opposed to sadness, which is the lack of life. Bitterness will lead us to change that will lead us to great joy. Very good, excellent, Eugenia. I know now that there's profound difference between sadness and bitterness. Sadness weighs us down and prevents real change, while bitterness spurs us onto action and making lasting positive changes in our lives. Excellent. Very. You guys are great. Anybody coming on today? Shoshana Bina, maybe? Come and share with us. I know now that when I experience bitterness, I have the power to reflect on my own behavior and make the changes necessary to improve a situation. Very good. Katie. Oh, all right. Shana from Virginia. And let us see if this will work. Put your, oh, there it is. It worked.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
I finally figured this out. How are you?
Thank God. Welcome.
Good.
Was it your birthday?
It's next week, actually. I got all confused.
Okay. All right. So, well, God willing, you'll have a very, this is not belated birthday wishes, but early birthday wishes. A Shnas Bracha V'Atzlacha, a year of great blessing and success. So, please share with us, Shoshana Bina.
I'm getting like feedback. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm getting like feedback.
Yeah, on our end, it's working perfectly.
I'm trying to figure
we
out.
We don't hear the feedback. So pay attention to one thing and one thing only. What you say.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to work with my hearing aids. I'm sorry.
No. Well, we hear you very well. And
yeah, I can't hear what you're saying because it's looping back in my hearing aids. I'm sorry. It's probably not going to work.
Not a problem. Thank you for joining.
I know you can hear me, but what's happening is I have hearing aids, so I'm hearing myself loop back in my hearing aid.
Okay. Hashem should bless you.
So glad to see you all, and so glad to have everybody in class.
Thank you.
Y'all take care.
All right. Thank you, Shoshana Bina. Katie, Marjan, Stan, Lisa. Who else do I see that's possible to come on? Sandy. TJ, Eugenia, Rina Bachia. All right. All right, not a problem. Pamela says, oh, all right, Bachia. I know now that the past I had felt bitterness, but it gave me strength to become a stronger, happier person today. Yes, that's what we explained. Hello, Bachia, welcome.
Hello, Rabbi. Hello, everyone. What I wanted to share was I know now that I really have to have this bitterness, this good gevura of bitterness when I say or do things that is not coming from the animal soul. And so with this bitterness, it should bring a growth and a joy and an excitement of making changes. And literally there is an active change going on because this is a living bitterness.
Full of life, right. That gives us such the capability of making change.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Amen. All right, we thank Batya, we thank Shoshana Bina for trying to make it happen. And the very fact that you came on, by the way, made it happen, that itself. So appreciate that immensely. All right, folks. So tomorrow we're going to take this to the next level of, to bring it to joy. And but at least we got some preparation for that. Okay. Sharing is caring. Don't forget today's My Yeshiva from 12 noon to 1:30. And Parsha with Rabbi Mendy, 12 to 12:45, 12:45 to 1:30 with me. We're learning about Purim and the deeper meaning of the holiday. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad, Zikr, and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day.